Hey y'all, the Made Dev blog for Boundary came out, and I want to talk about a few things that's mentioned in it. I'm not going to be talking about everything. If you guys do want to read it, and I encourage you to do so, I'll link whatever I can down in the description for you to check it out. So about 2 weeks ago, they started taking in questions in the Discord and on the subreddit. Here's the ones that I found interesting. Before I forget, the first week of June, we're supposed to be getting more answers, so when that comes out, I'll update you guys as well. Alright, so the first question, any future plans on expansion for game modes, whether that be campaign or solo game modes, and or larger multiplayer modes of any kind? To that, the devs have said that they're really focusing on polishing the game modes already in it. However, they do have a lot of ideas for PvP and limited PvE. Going with a similar question, will there be bots or offline modes added in the future? To which the devs have said yes, bots are something they're working on. It's just going to take a little bit of time to work through the AI systems to make sure it's an enjoyable experience. Personally, I'm really excited for bots. They did say it's going to take a bit of time, but when it does get flushed out, if it's really, really good, then it's going to be worth it in my personal opinion. New players will have bots that they can learn basically the game, and like experienced players like myself can try out different things. Like if they can have AI replace the dummies in the firing range to show different damage outputs and everything, that will be huge in my personal opinion. Next is a much requested feature. Will there be region lock? In my personal opinion, I don't think region lock should be something that's getting incorporated right now because the player population is getting lower and lower. However, in the future, I definitely can see it being useful. That being said, the devs have said it is a top priority for them and that they are beginning to prepare for implementing it. Kind of piggybacking off the last one, this question is asking for it to come to consoles and to have region lock already implemented on consoles. To that, the devs basically said that the PS5 version of Boundary is coming together really nice. It's going to take a couple months to finish things up, but by that time, matchmaking should be fixed. I do want to point out that Boundary Early Access has only been out for 2 months. So with the devs saying the PS5 version is going to be ready in a few months, kind of gives me the inkling that the 6-month mark is going to be a lot of new stuff coming in. Speaking of which, where's the roadmap? So the devs gave a longer answer to this, but to wrap it up very, very simply, they said that June and July they're going to focus on mostly improvements to gameplay and fixing bugs, but they hope to release an early form of PvE in July. That being said, July 13th is the 6-month mark, and this is just adding more to the feeling of a bunch of stuff coming in July. Next up was asking about the store, if it would come during early access or during full release, and the devs basically said that on full release, that's when it would be implemented. Next up, a question that gets asked a whole lot. Why is the game not free to play? Now, I have my own reasons why I think Boundary should not go free to play. One of them is basically having the price point be a barrier to cheaters, but the devs have given a different answer. They said that basically a free to play model was not going to be enough support for them. They did say there's going to be free weekends and sales to keep an eye out for. The last question that I want to talk about is basically a breakdown of health, armor, and mobility and what they mean. So the devs basically said that mobility is the maximum player speed that the player can achieve at a moment. The higher the maximum, the faster you can go. The armor is the amount of damage before you reach airtight failure state, which is essentially when you have to patch your suit. And the maximum health is the more damage you can take while you're in that airtight state. So for example, when you're playing Fort, you should be able to take a lot more damage to get into that airtight failure state, along with having more health or a longer time to patch your suit when you're in that state. Now, I don't want to say the devs are wrong in the way that they just explain that, but I do feel like some things are off. For example, mobility. They basically say that the more stats for mobility you have, the faster you can go. But in my testing, all the Astro operators basically moved at a velocity about 8 on the velocity meter when sprinting, no matter who it was. Fort, Doc, Spike, they all have the same movement speed when sprinting, but the heat was the main difference. To explain what that means very, very quickly, Spike and Doc don't generate as much heat versus Fort. So what that means is Spike and Doc can move around a lot more and be undetected, while Fort can probably sprint for a solid 5 seconds before having to sit somewhere and cool off, so that way they don't get detected. So anyway, if you guys want to read more of the questions and answers, I'll try to link whatever I can down below so that way you guys can find it and everything. But that's the end of the video. Hope you guys have a nice day, and I'm going to be back very, very soon.